Career Happy Hour. Good to have you. It's Andrew Beach. I'm a teacher of self-education. I help professionals like you communicate their value to find great opportunities faster. That's whether they're working or not. I do that through a process of identifying your strength, communicating your strength to others through networking, and confident communication. There's a lot of tools I have in the kit that I can bring to support your success. I'm thinking a lot today about highest and best use of your time. Highest and best use of your time. Only because this is something I've struggled with probably for my whole life, is allowing things to distract, thinking something is high value when it's not, just so that I can feel good about the activity that I did, even if it didn't generate results for me. So if that's you, let me know if you suffer from that too, where you take a look at the hours in the day and go, what on earth did I do today? And some of that you forgot. That maybe that's my thing, is I don't keep track. So part of that is keeping track. And yesterday I do a mastermind accountability call once a week on Thursdays. And we get together and we have a conversation about what we've achieved and what we plan to do for the next week. And I was actually kind of down on myself. It's one of those things where, as a job seeker, I had the same experience. And many of the people I coach have the same experience where they look at the day and they don't think they got anything done. But then I ask them to keep track of what they actually did for the whole day. And then we can evaluate. Once you have an objective record, you can evaluate. And so that's the first thing I would say. Before you can decide what is the highest and best use of your time, you need to have objective record. You need to track what you're doing, what activities you're participating in, and for how long, and maybe even in, 15-minute blocks. So maybe this is an exercise you just do in the next day or so, or sometime next week. And just for a day, not every day. And certainly if you want to go every day, you can, and track 15-minute blocks. What did you do during those 15 minutes? What was that last? In fact, I have a little timer. I don't know where. Here it is. I have a little timer. It's right here. And it's not very complicated. It's just one of those timers I got. I think it's in the cooking section of virtually any department store. And it's got 2 timers on it. You can either do count up or count down. And in this case, I would probably do both, right? If there's one activity I will participate in every 15 minutes, I'll have a countdown just to record what I completed. And then I'll have a count up timer that says, hey, I need to take a break at some point and give myself some space. So we talked objective record, keeping track, having a timer. I know these are things that seem a little over the top, but I need these kind of things. Here's the thing. When I was working, I knew I had to be at work at a certain time. I knew there were certain activities that I needed to participate in to get paid, right? So there's this general, how would you say, contract. Now, I don't know that I would call it, a legal contract, but it's an agreement. It's an agreement between you and your organization that for certain times during the week and the day, you're performing specific tasks in achievement of whatever objectives they have set for you, in order to exchange that for compensation. That's fair, I think. And the idea would be, hey, once I'm in here and I have my compensation and that goes away, what happens when that goes away? When you don't have that agreement or that contract with an organization, and you now are in a position where you get to decide. You get to decide how you spend your days, your hours, even your minutes. What do you fill that time with? And I think this is a really sobering exercise for a lot of us, because I can look back and see there's lots of opportunities, and then to do things that I should have done. And then I start beating myself up over it. Right. And I don't know if you've been there, but I tend to think, gosh, I just did a bunch of things that didn't add any value. They just maybe relieve some tension or pass some time. And there's time for diversion, right? There's time to do those things. I don't doubt it. But when there's something else more important waiting to be done, and you don't do that, the procrastination comes in. How do you overcome that? Due to networking, I learned a lot about B Corps. Good. B corporations are pretty interesting, aren't they? And there's lots of them out there. So what did you learn? Maybe you could share that with some of us. What else is there to know about searching for jobs that do good for the world? Well, honestly, Deborah, the first step to doing something like that is establishing what you think do good is. And I think that isn't universal. Some people think it's, well, let's say, helping people in need. Okay, great. You help people in need in what kind of way? Other people think, oh, it's giving money. Doing good is giving money. So what is it for you? And how do you want to participate in that? Okay, that's a decision to think about. What is it for you? And how do you want to participate in that? Okay. But yeah, so Deborah, I think the first step is deciding what it is you think do good is. And some people think that it's working for a company that does well, when really what you want to do is take the capital that you earn and deploy it. So sometimes you're the highest. So the topic for today for me was highest and best use. And that doesn't just apply to time. That could apply to things like do good. Maybe do good for you, or the highest and best use of your skill, expertise, and future is to earn so much capital that you can give away to others. So it doesn't mean you have to be attached to a company. It means you have revenues from your compensation, from your W-2 wage earning work to give to causes you believe in. And so there's more than one way to do that. You don't limiting yourself just to a B corporation may not be the answer. It is an answer, but it may not be the answer, if you know what I mean. And there should be maybe a whole host of other options on the table for you. So give some consideration to that and allow that to fuel your networking. Okay. From last week, there was a question as if a former boss wants to connect, was a decision finally made? No, I didn't. It wasn't a situation where they asked to connect to me. It's where in the feed on my LinkedIn profile, when I go through and I accept connect requests from people, it just showed up in my, hey, if you connect with this person, they're also connected to these people, or you should consider connecting to. It was just a suggested person in there. Let's see what it is Deborah has to say. I've got my earphones on this time, so we won't have an issue, hopefully, with the tech.
Let's get this out of the way.
Deborah.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. All right.
How are you, and what can I do for you?
Well, so I think that I approached my friend who has spent like 20 years. He has the income to give back. And so he's a really mover and shaker in the Vancouver area, and is, he's able to join a lot of boards. So I'm looking at my notes, and I think that what I said is I'm less mercenary, and what I want to do is get a nice job where the corporation is doing good. I'm working with other people that are like-minded, so perhaps they're less competitive and more focused on just helping, and that would contribute to a nice collaborative, positive work environment. So that's one answer to one of your questions, which was an excellent question. So he said for the Portland, I'm looking at my book, for the Portland, Vancouver area, he said that there is a place called Encore Fellows, and something called Max List.
Yes.
And he also...
So Max List is a maxlist.org, MACS list.org is a primarily, not entirely, but primarily nonprofits and government jobs. Mac Pritchard is the one that owns that website, that service.
Okay.
The other one, what was the other one again? I just
yeah, I went over that.
Encore.org is a place where you can put in a fellowship. Now, typically that's the company. At least this is my understanding. You can do your own investigation. but the company that you separate from will put funds into escrow, if you will, into a file, a folder, an account, and then they'll disperse those funds as you do work for nonprofits.
Okay.
And so they'll hook up talent that's been, how would you say, in an encore status with companies or nonprofits to actually execute whatever it is they're trying to do. And there's lots of different projects out there, but it's a finite term. It's not indefinite. Will those lead to employment? Maybe, maybe not. Likely not. Many of the people I know that have been through those fellowships end up going back to work somewhere else.
Okay.
So they're valuable, and they're a way to give back, and kind of a, how would you say it, a nice bridge to what's next. So
Right.
they're worthy of consideration. You would have to talk to your, whoever it is in your HR department, or the company you came from, or if that's your circumstance, and see if they offer those kind of fellowships.
Okay. And it sounds like that your sending company needs to contribute. In my case, I don't have a sending company, so it doesn't sound like I would qualify based on what you said, but I can research.
Not from what I understand. Now, that doesn't mean
Okay.
you can't be supportive of their efforts, right? I'm sure there's infrastructure and things to be done at the company itself or at the organization itself.
Okay.
I'm just not as intimately engaged in that process. So yes, it's my understanding a sending company is required.
Okay. Okay. That's good to
Okay.
know.
And then Zai has some contributions here, just FYI. It's on a stipend, she says, and it's short and long term. I think that depends on the amount of monies that are put into an account for that purpose.
Okay.
So I don't know if the time is dependent on that or not.
All right.
Did you have another question or anything else I can help with?
There was a other couple of trade groups that I wanted to run past you.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Oregon one is called the Nonprofit Association of Oregon. Then there's a Washington counterpart that's Washington Nonprofits. What do you know about them?
Not much.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I know that there are people that run a nonprofit space, and they're easily identifiable on LinkedIn, right? It's not a secret, right? That nonprofits are in the process of selling something, right? And many people don't like it called that. So instead of selling, they call it development. And development means I'm going to raise funds. So the people I typically reach out to would be people with a title called, a director of development or VP development, because they're the ones that interact a lot with the public, and they're always welcome to talk to. And then they might hook you into a volunteer coordinator or other people inside the organization if you don't know them.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. What were you hoping to gain by going through those organizations?
To get some type of employment, and I think that for my particular situation, I kind of like to ramp up and not go from nothing to boom, a huge 40-hour per week job. And so these, I think, might be a nice intermediate step up.
I see. And so here's my understanding of nonprofits, if I can share it with you.
Please.
Is that they, typically encourage you, or at least demand that you wear many hats. So when you walk into a nonprofit and you think you're just going to do maybe project management or, volunteer coordination, no, you're going to do everything that they need done. And you may think 20 hours a week is easy. No, they'll probably easy fill 40 hours a week on 20 hours worth of pay. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm saying that has the potential to happen. And you just need to be aware that many of the people I know in nonprofit wear many hats, kind of like a startup.
That sounds very startup to me from what you're describing. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Not that it is a startup. It's just that's the way that they manage their budgets, right?
Right.
There's only so much money to go around, because your objective is to apply as much of that to delivery of service as possible, so that you could get good ratings on GuideStar and that sort of thing, and people want to know that the money they're contributing has a return on its investment.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, well, thank you. I feel done, and I'm out of here.
I'm excited to hear, Deborah, your commitment to the networking. Thank you for doing that. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
You bet. Yeah. Thank you for your inspiration.
Yeah, of course. Keep at it.
Okay.
It'll
Thank
happen
you.
for you. All right. Take care. Bye. Well, we're talking highest and best use, right? So there's highest and best use. And, I think it's interesting that some of us are looking at opportunities beneath our capabilities. And that's not the highest and best use of your skill or your talent. I really think if you're not getting the results you want, it's quite possible there's one of two things happening. You're either shooting too low and or you're not participating in the most effective method to find opportunities for career advancement, promotions. If you're just going from unemployed to employed, there's a way for you to analyze what is the highest best use of your time. And that would be anything that converts to an interview. And anything, means anything. Whatever it takes to get to an interview. Could that be application, resume? Yes. What is the conversion rate for you in that space? Track those numbers. Have your objective records, right? Objective records of what did I do today? How many apps did I put in? What did that generate for me in terms of interviews, 7, 14, 21 days down the line? And, which are the companies that are actually needing or participating in effective placement for talent? Because not every company, you don't control the internal process. And I would be interested to see if it's even out there. Time to placement. I'd like to see a comparative time to placement in terms of how long it takes a company to formulate their needs, actually put together a requisition, get that approved and posted publicly, go through an interview thing, right? And maybe, Terry, you have some resources that I could look at for objective analysis on those things. But my suspicion is, best case, start to finish, it might take a company 45 to 60 days to onboard an asset like you. And if that's the case, 45 to 60 days is not maybe the time that you thought it would take to do that activity. And the frustrating part for a lot of candidates is you don't control that part, right? The company does. And they're really the only ones who can fix it. So you have to play within those constraints. And when you're within those constraints, you get frustrated and discouraged. Well, that's why you want to have a lot of different irons in the fire, because you don't know which one's going to hit, or if they shelve an opportunity or what have you. There's so many variables to actually take care of that. Put your LinkedIn profiles in the chat and interact with each other. I see. Thank you, Derek, for putting in that information. I have to sit up straight because your stuff takes up half the screen. But yeah, I'm happy to give the time. This is my way to give back to the community that has supported me. So I first I'll say thank you. Yes, updating profile next few days. Connect with Derek, everybody. Derek, by putting your link in the chat, you are saying that you're open to people from this stream contacting you for networking conversation. Okay. Good. All right, folks. I have to call it today. I want you to know that your participation here is one step towards you getting what you want in your career. Why? Because you're committed to something good. And that means committing to yourself is demonstrating honor. And so I know the people that come here are people of honor. So continue on, connect with each other, have those conversations, and you will find success. Success comes just outside the comfort zone. And many of you may not be comfortable in this activity. That's why this community is existing in the first place. It's here for you to meet people and have conversation. I'd encourage you to do that. Okay. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'll be a little more engaged next week. Yeah, have a great weekend. Take care. Be well. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. All those things. Take care now. Bye.